Morning, children. So today we are going to begin with the lesson 2.3, Connecting the Dots by Steve Jobs. Children, we have already completed with warming up, and you all might have also seen the biography of Steve Jobs. So today let's begin with the introduction of the lesson, and then we would go to the explanation of the lesson. Now, connecting the dots, let's understand this particular title, this title which is given to us. Now, if you remember when you were very small, or even today, I think you might be enjoying solving a puzzle where you are supposed to connect the dots. The dots are numbered, and accordingly, you connect it, and then at the end, you get an image. The image which is hidden in the dots. You get the outline of a thing which is hidden in the dots. So the same thing has been applied over here in our lives. Steve Jobs thinks that in our life also we have number of such dots, and these dots are nothing but they are life experiences. They are the knowledge which we have gained in our life in different on different topics in different manner. And what we are supposed to do, we are just supposed to connect these learning experiences. If we are able to connect these learning experiences, the knowledge which we have gained in our life, then we can be successful. And these learning experiences really prove to be very beneficial in your life. It proved to be beneficial in the life of Steve Jobs. He tells us, he explains this better in his first story, which he tells in this lesson. And he has given the title to this story as Connecting the Dots. That how he connected the life experiences, the knowledge which he had gained when he was young, and how he became a successful businessman, how he achieved success in his profession. So, children, before we go to the introduction part and introduce the lesson, let's first understand today's phrase. Today's phrase is to dawn on. You can see the image over here of St. Paul's Cathedral in London at dawn. The photo courtesy is BBC. Now, what do you mean by the phrase to dawn on? If something dawns on you, you realize it for the first time. You come to know about it for the first time. Then we have an example here. It was several hours before the truth finally dawned on Rahul. He was in the wrong city. Now, let's take a note of one more phrase, the crack of dawn. Now, this is a phrase which means very early in the morning when the sky just starts to change color. And the example is, we have to leave tomorrow at the crack of dawn. Now, here we have interesting fact, and the interesting fact is about the two words, dawn and sunrise. What is the difference between them? So, you can just go through this interesting fact and find out the difference between the word dawn and sunrise. Here we have the text type. The text type of the lesson is, it is informative lesson. It gives us information about Steve Jobs. But this information is in the form of a speech. This is just to tell you, children, that the lesson given to you is a speech. It is an address, and it is well-known address of Steve Jobs, which he had delivered in 2005 at Stanford University. And Here he was addressing graduate students who are just going to be graduates. This address is very popular as Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish address of Steve Jobs. It is very well known. Now, when we go to the lesson, we come to know that in this speech, Steve Jobs said that I don't want to tell you much more about um, what I feel or what I think, but I want to tell you the three stories of my life. But children, through these three stories of his life, he gave a wonderful message to the graduate students. He taught them life lessons through these three stories. And what are these three stories? In the key points, we have three stories of Steve Jobs. The first story is titled Connecting the Dots. We have already discussed about it. Then the second story is about love and loss. He believed to do something which one loves to do. And that is what he did. He tells in the story that at a very early age he realized that what he wanted to do in his life, what he loved to do in his life. And that is what is told in this part of the story, that is love. And loss, what losses he faced every time he was not successful in his ventures. He also faced loss, failures in his life. So that's what the story tells us. The third story is about death. He faced death very closely. And then he realized that he has very limited time. In fact, he gives us a message that every one of us, we don't know when our life is going to end. So our time is limited. And when we know that our time is limited, then we need to make the most of the time which we have in our hands. So that's what the third story deals with. And he signs off this particular address of his by this quote, that is, stay hungry, stay foolish. One has to be always hungry for knowledge, more and more knowledge to be gained in life. And one should always stay foolish. The day you think that you have gained entire knowledge, or you are the most intelligent person on this planet Earth, then your um, your journey to gain knowledge will stop. So it's better to stay hungry, stay foolish. Now, children, let's read the introduction of the author, that is Steve Jobs, which is given to us in the lesson. Yes, lesson 2.3, Connecting the Dots. Steve Jobs was born in 1955 and he died in 2011, was an American entrepreneur, business magnate, inventor, and industrial designer. So what do you mean by entrepreneur? Entrepreneur means a person who sets up business taking on financial risks for profit. Second, magnate, business magnate. So he was a business tycoon. He was an industrialist. He was an inventor. He invented a lot of new things which were related to computers. So he is also called as a pioneer, the one who started with the concept of microcomputers, and he brought about a revolution in the field of personal computers. So that's what you mean by inventor, and industrial designer, one who designs products that are to be manufactured. So he was a designer. He was the chairman, chief executive officer, that is CEO, and co-founder of Apple Inc. Apple Inc. Inc. means incorporated, that is to form a corporation. He is widely recognized as one of the pioneers of microcomputer revolution of 1970s and 1980s. So pioneer means He was a beginner. He was the initiator. He initiated this microcomputer revolution, the change which came in the field of computers. He was one of the pioneers. He was one of the initiators, beginners of this revolution. And this happened in 1970s and 1980s. Children, this is all about the introduction to the lesson. Now we'll go to the next video and we would begin with the first story of Steve Jobs, connecting the dots.